Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, making $5.4 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $149 million and a worldwide total of $359 million. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes still holding strong. It was actually able to beat Furiosa this weekend, which is rather impressive considering this has been out much longer. And, I think most of the people who wanted to go check it out have already seen it. But no, it's been able to hold longer than movies that have been here shorter, which is really impressive to see. It has also surpassed War for the Planet of the Apes' entire domestic run, which is great to see. Don't think it's going to get to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or Rise of the Planet of the Apes' domestic totals, but still, considering that this is supposed to be the kickoff of a new franchise, where it's at right now, the fact that it was even able to surpass one of the former trilogy's movies is still rather impressive. Hopefully it still has enough juice left in the tank to get to $400 million worldwide. I think it's going to be a slow crawl to get there. Either it's just going to barely surpass that milestone or come close, but given how lackluster the summer has been, I'm sure that the studio is still very happy that this movie is pretty much the king of the box office right now and has already doubled its $160 million budget. It's one of the few films this summer to really do that at this point. So yeah, just not much more else to say here. I do believe this is going to be one of, if not the last time we see this movie in the top 5 as we head into June. Lots more bigger movies coming out on the horizon, so obviously that stuff's going to push this movie out. But man, what a solid run this had. Like I said, it's been a lackluster summer, but this was really the king see what I did there, of the summer. It's despite it, initially having mixed word of mouth, it had strong legs and it made the most amount of money out of any movie that came out this summer. Again, really solid numbers, really solid performance here. Not much more else to say except job well done. Number 4 was The Watchers, opening with $7 million this weekend domestically and $11 million worldwide. This is the 6th biggest opening for a horror film this year. It topped Tarot and Immaculate, but still sits behind The First Omen, Imaginary, Abigail, Night Swim, and The Strangers Chapter 1. Another lackluster opening for a horror film this year. Man, this genre just can't catch a break this year. I thought there was some interest with this movie, being the directorial debut of Ishana Night Shyamalan. I thought that would have given it the boost, and the mystery suspense aspect of the film would have probably caught some people's attentions, but clearly not. There was just not very much interest in this movie at all. The marketing just wasn't there. Like I said, I saw promos for it, but just not enough to really compare to like some of the other horror movies, like Abigail, which really had a marketing push. This just had a couple promos here and there, and I guess just in the horror community, once again, there was just not a lot of interest or even curiosity really to give this movie a chance, unfortunately. And I'm afraid it's not going to get any better here, as not only does this movie have a $30 million budget, so already it's off to not a great start, but it's also gotten very lackluster word of mouth as well. It got a C- cinema score, which is lower than a lot of the horror movies that came out this year, so that's definitely very concerning. So don't expect the best legs for this movie either, and even if it did, I'm not sure if it would even be able to help this movie out reach the doubling point of its $30 million budget, unfortunately. So yeah, overall this is a very disappointing opening for The Watchers. I don't really have much faith in this movie on where it's going to go for the rest of its box office run. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty big disappointment overall, unfortunately. Number 3 was, for the 3rd week in a row, If, making $7.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $93 million and its worldwide total to $160 million. If keeps holding well and keeps pushing forward, as it's now just $7 million away from surpassing the $100 million milestone domestically and $40 million away from surpassing the $200 million milestone worldwide. Obviously, it has better chances of surpassing the $100 million milestone this weekend for sure. Even with the stiff competition, it's so close to that milestone. There's no way it doesn't reach it by the end of this week or even early next week, if I'm being honest. The international worldwide total, however, that's going to be a bit concerning. It does seem to be slowing down a bit internationally, although it is coming out in Japan and China this weekend, so hopefully those numbers give this the boost this movie needs to not only get past the $200 million milestone, but the doubling point of its $110 million budget, because it still needs to get there. But yeah, otherwise this movie has turned out to be the surprise of the summer for sure. Yeah, it still needs to double its budget, but considering how, once again, like I said, lackluster and disappointing the summer has become, I'm sure the studio is happy that this movie's been able to maintain strong holds throughout its theatrical run and do as well as it has for the past couple weeks. And like I said, even with the stiff competition this weekend, we got a new kids movie coming up. I think it's gonna still hold well, not only just because this is a hybrid of live action and animation, while the new kids movie this weekend is fully animated, so at least that'll make this stand out against the other movie. But also, the word of mouth has just been so strong, so positive. I can see this movie still carrying out the solid holds it has. So yeah, another solid weekend for If. Definitely going to be an interesting weekend to see how it does both domestically and internationally. Again, hopefully those Japan and China numbers get this movie to where it needs to, and hopefully can keep pushing forward despite the competition. But yeah, If is still in a good place in my eyes. I think it's still doing pretty good for itself. Number 2 was the Garfield movie, making $10 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $68 million and a worldwide total of $192 million. Garfield also surpassing a couple milestones. It surpassed its initial production budget domestically. It's definitely surpassing $70 million domestically probably by the time this video comes out, and it's just $8 million away from surpassing $200 million worldwide. Again, by the time this video comes out, it'll probably surpass that milestone. Yeah, just another solid weekend for the film. However, my concern is how it's going to do this weekend. I think this movie is definitely going to get affected a lot more by the competition than If is, given that they're both animated movies coming out this weekend, and with If getting much more of a positive response from audiences and the hype being so high with this other animated movie, it could hurt the Garfield movie's chances of reaching a couple milestones, especially 100 million domestically if it takes a really big hit. But again, it is an animated movie and kids are out of school for the summer, so maybe it'll take a hit but not a huge one. It's going to be a very interesting weekend to see where this movie ends up being, if it can continue holding as well as it has for the past couple weekends, or if it's going to get really hurt by the competition. But it's not like it really needs to get hurt by the competition, because it's already more than doubled, hell, it's tripled its initial production budget already. I'm sure the studio is very happy that the film has been able to make the type of money it's made, even with it being a lot more internationally heavily than domestic side. Domestic, it's been a slow burn, yeah, but internationally this thing is performing super well, so it's not like it really even matters. So yeah, just another solid weekend for the Garfield movie, yes, but it's definitely going to be very interesting to see where this movie goes down the road, especially this weekend for sure. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was Bad Boys: Ride or Die, opening with $56 million this weekend domestically and $105 million worldwide. This is the second biggest opening in the Bad Boys franchise, topping Bad Boys 2 and the first Bad Boys, but still sitting behind Bad Boys for Life. It is the second biggest opening of the summer, topping If, The Fall Guy, and Furiosa, but still sitting behind Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And it is the 5th biggest opening of the year overall, topping Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, If, Bob Marley: One Love, Mean Girls, and The Fall Guy, but still sitting behind Kung Fu Panda 4, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, and Dune Part 2. So Bad Boys has brought the summer movie season back to life, especially after some troublesome weeks in May. You know, it was looking very depressing for the summer overall. Thankfully, Bad Boys really brought us back into gear, as this was a great opening. Yeah, it didn't reach the heights of the last film, but in all honesty, it didn't really need to. Yeah, there was just a lot of interest and buzz with this film. A lot of people seem to be really excited. This franchise is just really popular with a lot of people. A lot of people just love seeing Will Smith and Martin Lawrence together. They love seeing these characters exploring these worlds and just have a thirst for this franchise. And because of that, it has already surpassed its initial production budget of $100 million worldwide. That's fantastic to see, and given the solid word of mouth it's gotten, it has an A- cinema score, which is the lowest of the franchise. But then again, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Garfield both had lower cinema score ratings than this, and they were able to have solid word of mouth, so I don't think that's going to really affect this movie, as from what I've seen, the response from audiences has been very positive. People do seem to be really liking this movie, and because, you know, it's one of a kind right now, it's like pretty much the only R-rated action comedy out right now. The only thing I could compare this to is Deadpool and Wolverine, which doesn't come out till the end of July, so definitely got some time before you know, it's another movie like this hits theaters. So yeah, I see this movie sticking around. I see this movie continuing to do very well throughout its theatrical run. This is just a very solid opening and a much needed win for the box office right now. It goes to show, if you have a solid enough movie that people really want to see, people will go and see, and it's looking like people are going to continue to see for the rest of the summer. Not much more else to say, except this is a great start for Bad Boys Ride or Die. I look forward to seeing how much higher this movie can go, and yeah, just a solid opening all around. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we have one new major wide release, that film being Inside Out 2. This is pretty much one of the big 3 of the summer, pretty much the movies that I think everyone can agree is going to make a lot of money. It's this, Despicable Me 4, and Deadpool and Wolverine, and for good reason. There is just so much working to this film's advantage. For starters, Inside Out is one of the most beloved modern Pixar films. Everyone loves that movie. I don't know a single person who doesn't think it's at least good, both online and in the real world, and the buzz and hype for this movie has been through the roof. I haven't seen excitement for a movie like this since probably Dune Part 2, if I'm being honest with you. I've seen so many people talking about how excited and pumped up they are to go see this movie. It's also summer vacation. Pretty much school is done. It's over. Lots of kids are out for the summer, and, you know, while If and Garfield may have eased the kids into their early summer vacations, Inside Out is pretty much going to start their summer strong, you know. First animated movie of the summer for a lot of these kids getting out of school right now, and that's definitely going to give it the boost. And also the marketing has been fantastic as well. Been seeing tons and tons of promos and advertising. They've been doing a great job selling this movie. Yeah, just a lot working for this movie. Not much else to say. I think this is going to easily top the summer openings for sure, and I think it's even going to make enough to even top Dune Part 2 for the biggest opening of the year. Yeah, once again, not much more else to say. I have very high expectations for this movie. I think it's going to do way better than a lot are expecting it to. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that landed the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.